Levolution. Giant maps. Loud guns. 64-player matches. Team-oriented combat. If any of those phrases interests you as a gamer, then you've come to the right place. Battlefield 4 starts off this year's War of the Shooters, and it puts up a good fight against the upcoming competition. Though it doesn't necessarily improve upon all the areas that its predecessor Battlefield 3 struggled with, namely a poor single-player campaign and technical issues, Battlefield 4 is enough new game to stand as its own independent title. Let's get the boring part of this game out of the way, the single player. It's like 7 levels long, each of them lasting maybe half an hour at best. It has to do with an EMP going off in China, some Asian girl named after Hannah Montana who likes to shoot Americans, and a whole lot of brain-dead AI. I really think that's the best way to sum up the campaign. The story is so passable that even after playing through it I really can't tell you what it's about. It's fun to look at for sure, but that's pretty much all the campaign is good for. At its best, it's just a tech demo for the Frostbite 3 engine and all of its pretty shadows, pixel shaders, and explosions. Play through it if you're bored and want a good laugh. If you're familiar with Battlefield 3's campaign at all, you've pretty much already played Battlefield 4's campaign. Really, if you're buying Battlefield 4, just jump straight into the multiplayer with some friends.
Sorry, Rucker. Couldn't be any other way.
Okay, so if you're familiar with Battlefield 3's multiplayer, then you'll be right at home with Battlefield 4's multiplayer. You got the same 4 classes, varied maps, and the standard 64-player conquest mode. Good stuff. There's also a new mode called Obliteration where 2 teams fight over control of a bomb and have to destroy objectives throughout the map simultaneously. Cool stuff. The big feature DICE was pushing this year was Levolution. Each map has some distinct game-changing element that occurs after players trigger it. Some maps have, say, a storm that blows and drastically reducing your vision, while other maps have skyscrapers and hotels that fall down. Ultimately, Levolution isn't really a total, game changer. It's just more like a really well-fleshed out gimmick. When skyscrapers fall and dams blow up, it's really cool and disorientating the first and maybe second time around, but after the 3rd or 4th time you encounter it, it really just becomes part of the map as we know it. You learn to work with it and it becomes less of an oh my god moment, and it kind of just becomes an okay guys, time for plan B type of moment. Personally, Levolution is cool, but DICE outdid themselves when it came to map design in general. BF3's maps were solid, but I really doubt many, if any, will become memorable. BF4, however, have some new landmark maps the series will probably carry on. Parasol Storm, Hainan Hotel, and Flood Zone are incredibly diverse and memorable maps. Flooded streets, island sniping, and naval combat are in this year with Battlefield 4. Plus, they got rid of that annoying blue tint BF3 had. Leaves are actually fucking green this time around. The last new addition to Battlefield 4 is the return of Commander Mode. Well, it really isn't new. Commander Mode allowed one player to drop supplies, ammo, vehicles, artillery, and run most of the battle on each team. It hasn't been included in a Battlefield game since Battlefield 2. Thankfully, it's back in Battlefield 4 in its entirety. However, some would argue as to why it was ever removed from the Battlefield games in the first place, and it's a fair argument. See, all of these returns from Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, and Bad Company make Battlefield 4 more of a step sideways than a fully progressive step forward for the series. I wouldn't say that Battlefield 4 is what Battlefield 3 should have been, but it definitely is not as big of a leap as some fans may have expected for the series. At the time of this review, which is 4 days after release, the game still suffers from serious lag. Plus, there are also some maps that show horrible pacing and balancing. The biggest tech flaw with BF4 is that visually, while impressive, it is not leaps and bounds better than Battlefield 3. Now that isn't my problem with it. My problem is that this game recommends a 3GB graphics card compared to Battlefield 3's 1GB recommendation. This has led to many players with able machines suffering from low performance. It's the classic sign of a game being pushed out earlier than the developers would have liked it. It suffers from animation issues, server problems, and sound cutting out, though I have to say that the sound design is definitely the best the series has ever seen, or heard. All in all, Battlefield 4 is a brilliant Battlefield game that's starting to reincorporate elements that the franchise left behind. However, it has been released too soon for its own good, and a few extra months of development would have definitely benefited it. Given the constraints DICE worked under, they really did do an admirable job, more so than, say, Infinity Ward with their cash cow. Either way, as fun and entertaining as Battlefield 4 may be, DICE is on thin ice with its community. Their next title better be a damn good one if they want to stay at the head of the pack, but only time will tell. Until then, Battlefield 4 is a great way to spend this holiday season, earning a B+ from me as an exceptional shooter, brilliant multiplayer experience marred only by technical issues and a repugnant campaign. Once the tech issues are squared away by DICE, who have already done a noticeable job at this, Battlefield 4 can stand tall next to its predecessors.